I have one question for you all today, and that question is how. And that's one of the biggest questions that anybody who's marketing anything, selling anything, wants to do well in anything, that is the one question you need to get used to. Because everybody starts off with something and they look at it and they kind of go, can we do this, or will we do this, or I should ask a few other people, for advice on this. But as somebody who's trying to sell something or market something, your question isn't can we, your question is how. It's how do I do this? And whether that is I have an idea for a new product, it's how can we sell this? If you have an idea for something, there's a way to do it, but essentially you just need to bring it back to that one question. How can we do this? And it's once you start thinking about hows, all the other stuff fades away because you're kind of locked into that tunnel vision of how do I make this work? And that when you bring things back to that level of how, then you can get there and you can figure it out. And that it maybe you need to slightly change the product, it maybe you need to slightly change the service, maybe you need to change the marketing. But essentially, if you have something there, you want to sell it, it just comes back to how can I do this? Who can I get help from? But essentially it's how do we get there? That was one of the basic things. Most people come into this and they go, okay, I'm going to put some money into this and we're going to see what happens for the first month. Well, I have news for you today, guys. Not going to happen. The question is, are you willing to ask yourself that question and commit to that of how can I get there? Because if you're willing to commit to that, you don't need to worry about anything else in the peripherals. You just lock into that goal. You know you're going to get there. Maybe you're not entirely sure how. You'll probably meander along that path to get there. It won't be a straight line. But that once you're willing to commit to that, and how can I get there? Then it means you're not willing to leave any stone unturned. And you're going to get there. Because that's the goal you've set for yourself, is I am committed to getting there. Whereas when you bring the other things in of like, well, how can I find out what this brings back to me? How can I test this? How do I know if this works? But essentially, just forget all of that stuff. You need to bring it back to that basic thing of how can I get where I want to go? And for internet marketing as our thing here is how can you get there? If it's a monetary value, if it's quitting your job, if it's having a better lifestyle for you and your family, whatever it is, you just have to ask yourself that question of how can I get there? You bring it back, keep it simple. That's the only thing that matters.